Fear stops us from achieving our true greatness. Are you a professional woman who is feeling stuck, unmotivated, or burned out? Are you worried about your wellness? Are you letting fear stop you from crushing your goals? If you answered yes to any or all of these, then this is the podcast for you. Dr. Charmaine Gregory, night shift emergency physician, burnout thriver, and wellness champion, along with everyday heroes just like you, will explore how to face fear in our lives and emerge victoriously.
Hello, Fearless Freedom family. So, this has been such an interesting year so far. Like I was telling you in the previous episode, I definitely have been working on a brand new fear. So I revealed that the new fear is the fear that we're going to put all this work into this podcast launch creator course and nobody's going to attend, or there will not be any interest at all in this. So I'm hoping that there is interest out there and that my fear is unfounded. So, that kind of brings me to the point where, I don't know if you are a fan of Star Wars, but oh my goodness, we are big time Star Wars fans in our household. I mean, to the fact that we literally have lightsabers, like our cherubs have lightsabers, and we do Star Wars Jedi training in the basement. Like, we are on that level of blurredom. And so, of course, we had a new episode that came out in December. And so prior to the episode coming out, we definitely made every effort to start watching them in chronological order. And man, if you are a Star Wars fan and you have not done that yet, you really should, because it was so revealing. There were so many little Easter eggs and items that we hadn't picked up on before. So many trends in the story, threads in the story that we completely did not appreciate previously. And then watching them in order, they just seem to fit so nicely. And if you ever watch Star Wars, or if you are a Star Wars fan, then you know that Star Wars is really all about fear and facing fear. There is a huge thread that is going through, and a huge theme that is going through Star Wars, and that is of how do you face fear and emerge victoriously. What is Dr. G talking about? What are you talking about, Dr. G? Well, I'll tell you that anytime you hear them say things like fear is the path to the dark side, hey, they're facing fear. They're literally thinking about all the things that are detrimental, right? So supposedly the dark side is the bad side, right? Well, depending on which side of the aisle or which side of the perspective you're standing on, right? So of course, Darth Vader doesn't think that the dark side is bad. He thinks it's awesome. And then of course, the Sith don't think the dark side is bad. They think it's awesome. It's part of their ethos. It's part of their culture. If you're standing on the side of the rebels, or if you're standing on the side of the Jedi, you're going to think that the dark side is bad. Fine. We're not going to debate that point. But what we are going to take a look at is the fact that the dark side is the fuel to the dark side is your fear. So every time somebody is in a vulnerable spot, every time somebody is in a moment where they feel like they cannot go forward because they're afraid of something, that is when the dark side swoops in and just captivates them and brings them on over, recruits them, like in rare form. And so if you look at Anakin, for example, now Anakin, he started having these visions, and the vision that he had was of Padme dying, and he immediately sensed fear. He sensed fear because he remembers back in his childhood, he had no way of protecting his mom. He had no way of getting his mom to a place where she could see her way, right? He was he's working, he's doing these odd and end jobs. He's, hustling as a kid, and he's seeing how she's being treated. She's a slave. He gets his freedom. She's still a slave, and he feels powerless. So there's fear there, right? So the fear is rooted in his childhood. And then he gets to be an adult and he falls in love with Padme. And, now he has this wonderful news that they're going to be having offspring. And he starts to get that fear again, right? So he has these visions, and the visions are telling him that there's going to be a moment where Padme could die or will die. So what happens? His fear now is he wants to be in a position of power where he's able to protect her. He's able to help her. He is afraid of losing her. And Chancellor Palpatine is very astute, picks up on this, and he literally is like, hey, I see that you're afraid. I know your pain point. Literally, this guy is like, genius marketing, genius like salesmanship, sportsmanship, I guess, if this was a sport. And he's like, okay, I see you. I know where you're coming from. I know your pain point. Like, yes, you want to be powerful. So you want to be recognized for who you are. You want to be recognized for the prodigy that you are, because you are indeed the chosen one. And he plays on Anakin's fears. So Anakin is afraid that he's not respected by the Jedi. Anakin is afraid that he's not going to be powerful enough or in a position where he can protect the one he loves. So Palpatine is like, I got you. And then he literally goes in and he targets those pain points. So he starts to speak to the fact that Anakin is, quote unquote, not let into the circle of the Jedi on the council, because he is not quite there yet, right? He hasn't arrived yet. But you see, you really are. You have arrived. You are able to become a Jedi. You are able to be on the Jedi Council. He speaks to the fact that he's afraid that his woman is going to be in a situation where he cannot do anything to protect her. And so he swoops in and he plays on those fears, and he's able to captivate him, get him to do things that are literally against his own core values and against his own core beliefs. And then he has no choice now but to go all in and go all the way to the dark side. So how did he get to the dark side? How did he get to this place that is not considered a desirable place? It's not considered the desirable outcome. He gets there because fear was the path that led him there. And I'm saying this, I'm telling you the story because not only because I love Star Wars, because I think Star Wars is the BOMB, but because when we take fear and we let fear literally overtake our mindset, we let fear stop us from being the very best person that we can be, we are literally entering into the proverbial dark side. And we are letting Chancellor Palpatine convince us that we cannot do the thing that we know we can do. Like, for example, you have decided that in this new decade, you are going to write a book, for example. And then you hear Chancellor Palpatine say it in your ear, you really aren't a writer. There will be nobody reading this book. And you start to buy into that. You start to listen to the negative thought. You start to listen to the fear instead of saying, I see you, I recognize you, but my plan is to do this, and I'm going to be great, and I am going to face you, and I am going to be, in a different place. I'm going to be in a place that I have set out to be in. What if you made a decision that you are going to start your business this year, right? You said you made a decision. You said, I'm going to start my business this year, and that is going to be the thing that I'm going to accomplish in this 2020, right? So you decided you're going to do that, and then you go ahead and you figure out a concept, and you go ahead and you figure out a name for your company, and you figure out all these things, and then you're like, get an LLC or a C Corp or whatever it is you're going to get. And then you get ready to start. You get ready to go about the business. You start doing the things that you need to do in order to start to grow your business. Then you hit a stumbling block. You are not familiar with social media, for example. You're not familiar with how to market your business on social media. And what do? Chancellor Palpatine swoops in again, and he's like, nobody really wants to know about your idea. You really aren't going to be good at this business. You need to just shut it down right now. Like, don't even bother. And all of these little things, all these little whispers of fear speaking to you in a negative light just really makes you stop in your tracks, right? So if you're not attuned to this, you literally are going to stop in your tracks and say, you know what? This is just too hard. I can't do it. Maybe next year. What? No, not maybe next year. This is your year. This is your year to face your fear. Like, this is your year to rock it out. This is just your year. I mean, I don't know why you would think anything other than that, because you stepping into your greatness is your destiny. That is what you were meant for. That is what you were placed here for. You have a set of humans that are looking for your greatness because they're your tribe and they're waiting for you. So the same thing goes for if you had made a decision that you're going to grow your business and you said, you know what, there is one way that I could potentially grow my business. So you already established business now, and you've already decided you're going to grow your business, and you're like wondering, how can I do this in a very magnificent way that is not going to be ridiculous? And so you decide that you're going to start a podcast. Okay. So you're like, I am all fired up, and you're like, yes, I'm going to start this podcast. I'm going to get some great value out there. My people are going to hear it. I'm going to be promoting my courses. I'm going to be promoting my book. I'm going to be promoting my product. I'm going to be getting clients. It's going to be awesome. Then you sit down at your whiteboard and you start like mapping out. You do a little mind map and you say, this is what's going to happen and how the funnels are going to work, etc. Then you realize, wait a minute, I have no idea how to start a podcast. I don't even own a mic. How am I going to do this? And then Chancellor Palpatine comes back in your ear and he's like, oh, young Padawan, you cannot start a podcast. You cannot start a podcast because you don't have a studio. You cannot start a podcast because you don't have a team to edit your podcast for you. You don't have a production team. Oh, young Padawan, you cannot start a podcast because you don't have the tools, the knowledge, the tech savvy to start a podcast. And that right there, my friends, is fear. Fear is creeping in again and leading you to the proverbial dark side. Do not listen. Get off that path. Get back on the path where you're facing your fear. You are emerging victoriously, and you are stepping into the greatness that you deserve. So I just want to share that with you today. I know this is not the typical podcast episode, but that was just on my heart. And of course, I want to shamelessly plug that I am currently working on a course for those of you who wish to face that fear of launching your own podcast this year. You could take the course, and I can help you through every step of the way. You can literally, at the end of the course, have your first 5 episodes ready to go. You'll be all set for your fabulous launch. And then you'll also have everything you need in order to run your podcast in a seamless fashion. You'll have tools that will help you with interviewing, tools that will help you with scheduling, tools that will help you with planning future episodes, tools that will help you with your show in general. So if that is something that you are interested in, that sounds awesome to you, and you're a professional woman or a female entrepreneur, I would love to have you in the course. Now, here's where the fear that I talked about that I personally have comes into play. So, by the way, guys, I'm in the minivan outside of the dojon where my kids are doing karate. So, if you hear cars and things like that, that's because my sound studio, which is my minivan, is not absolutely soundproof. So, you may hear some beeping and whatnot in the background. So, just ignore that. But if this is your time and you are a professional woman, you are a female entrepreneur, and you've decided that you want to step out and you want to face that fear of listening to that positive voice that says, you got this, and the voice that says, your tribe is waiting for you, waiting for your voice to be amplified through the magnificent media that is podcasting, then you should take the course. Now, okay, so now we get to the point where I have to tell you that I don't know exactly what date the course is going to get released. And why don't I know the date? I thought I had a date in mind. I had a date in mind of January 20th, which is essentially next week. And some things happened. Things like I didn't realize how much work it took to get a course off the ground. The planning of the course and marketing it properly, etc., etc. Because in my mind, I don't want to put something out there that's going to be helping you guys that is not excellent. And so I had to kind of push things back a little bit. And talking to my business coach, Jeremy Kennerson, he also advised me that that probably was the best thing to do. So I'm talking with you because I'm just being real with you. You know, I tried my very best to be very transparent and vulnerable with you as the Fearless Feeders tribe, because I feel like people don't do that enough. They don't talk about the rough spots, right? The bumpy bits. Nobody talks about those things. Everybody's all like Instagram, perfect, or, LinkedIn perfect, or whatever. I don't know what platform, whatever your platform, insert platform perfect. And nobody talks about the times when you literally are listening to Chancellor Palpatine and he's telling you, girl, you cannot do this. This is not your way. This is not your path. Like, what are you doing? Didn't you train as an emergency physician? Like, why are you even doing this? Yeah. So you can listen to the negative talk, or you can just be real with the people that you're dealing with and just let them know that, hey, I thought it was going to be this, and now I realize that I need to put more work and preparation to make it better, and so it's not going to be this. So you guys, to be honest with you, I really don't think the course is going to be ready before PodFest. I was hoping that it would be ready before PodFest. And oh my gosh, like, how could I not have shared this with you? So, I'm facing my fear of public speaking. And part of that is getting on more stages, right? In front of more audiences so that I can really face that fear boldly. So I became a public speaker last year. And I did several public speaking engagements, one of which was the amazing panel that I was on at She Podcast Live. And so as a consequence of being at that event, this is what I'm telling you about networking and just being at live events that is so incredible. Just from being at She Podcast Live, I was able to meet Chris, who is the organizer of PodFest. And PodFest, if nobody knows, is one of the biggest conclaves of podcasting that is in existence. And it is a very awesome meeting. Now, I'm saying all this and I've never been there before, but I just know because I saw how amazing She Podcast Live was. So I just absolutely know that if Chris has his hand in anything, it's going to be absolutely as fabulous and even more. So, I was just chatting with him and we're talking and we had some commonalities. We're from New York. Well, I'm not from New York, but I lived in New York for a lot of years. And so we're chatting about New York and everything. And I said, I really got a good vibe from this guy. I figured I was originally not going to apply to speak at PodFest because, again, Chancellor Palpatine was in my ear. Wait, you're not you haven't been podcasting that long. How can you possibly expect that you're going to be able to speak at PodFest? Are you kidding? Like, you're super lucky that you got to be on a panel of speakers at She Podcast Live. You're not even your podcast is not like getting tens of thousands or 100,000 downloads. Like, you're not even in the top 100 or top 10 on iTunes podcasts. Okay. Charles Palpatine, I'm going to give it a hand because, no. So I basically just chatted up Chris, and after the conversation, I just got this really good vibe. And I said, you know what? Even though I'm afraid of applying to be a speaker at this meeting, I'm still going to do it. And so the application was there and I filled it out and I basically, said I want to talk about fear because I love talking about fear because I feel like we all experience it. It's a common experience that we all have as humans. And we're constantly working on something, right? We're constantly improving ourselves. And so I put a bid in to talk about fear and they accepted it. So I am super excited that I'm going to get to speak. I'm speaking on Sunday morning at 9:30 at PodFest in Orlando. And this is going to be the weekend of March 3rd. So it's March 3rd through 6th, I believe, is the full conference. And so, if you're in Orlando area, you should definitely pop by because I think that it will be great experience, a networking experience. If you're in podcasting and thinking about podcasting or just want to come and just learn more about the whole media, it'd be a great thing to check out. So, so basically, I'm going to be talking on Sunday morning at 9:30 at PodFest. And I'm super excited about that because I'm going to get a chance to talk about fear and talk about how we are constantly having to face it in order for us to grow, in order for us to be better than we were yesterday. We literally have to be working on this, working on facing our fear. So I literally, so the reason why I'm even talking about PodFest is because I was trying to say that the course I was hoping would be done before PodFest because I felt like that would be a great time or a great place to be able to promote or even to get ideas from others about, or referrals really, for the course. And then hopefully there would be some people in the course. Like, again, my fear of nobody coming to the course, nobody taking the course is still there, right? So I'm just being real with you. But it's not going to be ready. I don't think. Maybe it will be. I'm not sure. But I just had to come to grips with that. And I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because I know that doing it right the first time, having an excellent product, having something that is really going to benefit you guys, that you guys are going to have a fantastic launch, a fantastic stint in podcasting, and you're going to be set up to win. To me, that's totally worth it. That's totally worth delaying deadlines, putting in more extra hours on making the thing absolutely great. So I just want to share that with you. So that was pretty much what I wanted to share with you this week. And I hope that you will not let fear be your path to the dark side. I hope that you will not let Chancellor Palpatine be in your ear with negative talk and causing you to do things that are against your core values, to do things that are against making you step into your greatness. And I really hope that this is going to be something that is going to be of value to you. And it'd be kind of funny if you guys, drop me a line or something, or just say something like, hey, I'm not listening to the fear that's taking me to the dark side because I'm not going to the dark side. I think that'd be really cool. So anyway, so if you're a Star Wars fan or not, I'm sure you get the reference. And I will catch you all on another Sunday. Thank you for joining us today on this journey. Fear is all around us. It strives to stop us from achieving our greatness. We have the tools to be overcomers. By sharing our stories, supporting each other, and doing self-reflection, we can do this. If you found value in this conversation today, please be sure to subscribe to and share this podcast with your friends. By going to your favorite podcast platform, leaving a review and a 5-star rating, you will help to get the word out about it. And that is much appreciated. Thanks again for spending time with us. I appreciate your time and your attention. It is my hope that you will punch fear in the face today and that you will be strong, be brave, and unleash your greatness.